Good morning everyone. My name is Tensa Agustin and I am your teacher for your paper late 20th century and 21st century. This is a 5th sem paper and this is my first class. I know it is a recorded class. So I heard that most of you prefer recorded class. That's why I am doing the recorded class. But please let me know if you want live class. I am more than happy to do live class from next class onwards. So my purpose today is to introduce the whole paper to you just once to give you a general idea, and we'll go on to our important topics from the syllabus, and I'll prepare you for the exam, not only for university exam but also for the upcoming competitive exams, also for your MA in English and NET exam in the first year of MA. After first year of MA, you're eligible to apply for NET exam. So this paper is really helpful for that as well. And the main text that we are referring to for this paper is by Paul Poplowski. This is the text. I know this is a mirror view, and but you'll get some idea about how the cover looks like. It is Paul Poplowski. We simply call this text Poplowski. Like we call the theory book Habib, we call this text Poplowski. Literature paper, we are literature paper, we call this text Poplowski. And this text is a very detailed text about every single minute things that happened in England, in British literature altogether. I am not going to give you every single details about whatever is written here, because I will send you the soft copy of this book so you can read it by yourself. The style of the class will be like this. I'll give a class on major topics and I'll send the soft copy of Poplowski, and what you can do is you can read it, you can listen to the class, you can read the text, and you can prepare your own notes. This is how this is going to work, because otherwise this paper can be really boring and it can also make you lazy, because if I give you everything, notes, class, materials, printed, soft copy, everything, it's going to make you really lazy. And in order to prepare you for the challenging post-graduation era, I think that giving you a little bit of work is it's a best idea here when I deal with this paper. Now, a bit about the syllabus here. You have 3 modules, and the third module you have some text also to study. Module 1, 2, 3. First module is about chronology and historical overview of the late 20th and 21st century, 1939 to 2015. There you have chronology of the period Britain and the post-war world, social, political and economic change, etc. And you have module 2, literary overview and texts and issues of the late 20th and 21st centuries, 1939 to 2015, literature and the Second World War. Then all the isms, IS, MS, realism, modernism, postmodernism, bit of a theory here, postmodern fiction, and it goes on and on. Every single topic discussed in the syllabus can be asked as an essay question, remember. Okay, from module 1 you have an essay question. Sorry, electricity gone. Module 1 you have an essay question. Module 2 also you'll have an essay question, and you have paragraph questions from all the 3 modules. You have short answer questions also from all the 3 modules. So this is how the question paper is going to be, and I hope you know that the whole question paper is set with the maximum marks of 40. You have, like I said, 2 essays, 250 words each, 8 marks each, 2 essays, 1 essay from module 1 or 2, they can ask from anywhere. Options are given, 2 options, you can select one, and then next essay exclusively from module 3. There is no module 1 or 2, so from module 3 1 essay compulsory, and then you have paragraph, that is 100 words from all the modules, and then short answers from all the modules. So 8, 8, 16, 8, total 40. This is the exam pattern. So let's start 20th century, because even though it is given in the title of the paper late 20th century, you are to know the whole 20th century. I'll show you. Yes. The title goes the late 20th and 21st century, but the core text section mentioned in your syllabus is the 20th and 21st centuries from 1901 to 2015. That is a section in Poplowski's book. So, if they say so, we are to study the whole 20th century, not to begin from the late 20th century, but to begin from the start of the 20th century. Okay. So, let us start about discussing 20th century. A small introduction and we will go on to the topics from module 1 to 3. Don't worry, this is a first class, so just introducing. So, 20th century from 1901 to 1939. This is the time period you are supposed to know that. Okay. 1901 is a very significant year. Why? Because Queen Victoria died in 1901. See, she was ruling England from 1837 till 1901. Hers was the longest ruling monarch actually. And Queen Victoria was very, she was called very greedy for power. She was also called as a mad queen by her own children because she was very adamant, you know, obsessed with the power. She was not ready to move on or give power to the next person. So everybody thought she is difficult. She was difficult. And you have so many films made on her life as well, so you can go ahead and watch those films. Films actually make our studies very easy. Many costume drama films are there, American made films, British films, so please go and watch it, and it's really helpful to memorize some difficult time periods and also whatever happened during this period if you watch these films. Just a bit about Victorian England. Victorian England, like I said, was very conventional. There is a condition of England novel. The lower class really suffered. The rich class never really cared about the lower class. And of course, there was a demand for literature because the rich was always the richest. And the lower middle class was actually thriving because they were making money, not the lowest class. The working class was always, they had the same atrocious situation. So, yes, the lower middle class, they were thriving, upper class was always the richest, and there is this pretentious conventionality and everything in the Victorian England. Now, coming to 20th century, because Victoria died in 1901, her son Edward VII started ruling from 1901. So, this period is known as Edwardian era. Okay, so Victorian period, then you have Edwardian period. So Edwardian era is important because it is marking the beginning of a new century, and it is also a beginning of so many things. See, every idea about European peace, the British peace and prosperity, it is all going to come to an end with the 20th century because so many negative things are going to happen in 20th century. At the top of my head, again, I am thinking about the two world wars. Not only that, you have a political problem with Ireland going on, you have emerging feminism going on, you have revolutionary thoughts in arts and literature going on. So many things are going to happen in this era which are going to disturb the whole peace of the country. So you should know that. So again, let's talk about the important changes that happened during this era. Just a moment. I'm flipping through the pages here just to address the major changes. Now, let's talk about the monarchy. I hope I already told you. If not, you get the chronology of the monarchy here. You have Edward VII, Queen Victoria's son, then his son George V, his son George VI. Between George V and VI, there is a king coming, but he did not rule England at all, not even for a year. He abdicated because he wanted to marry an American divorcee woman. So that time it was not permissible for an English king to marry a divorcee in the royal family. So he abdicated, he went away. So you have George V and George VI. The between king is not important. Then George VI is the father of the present queen, Queen Elizabeth II. So now you get the idea about the chronology of the monarchy. So yes, right now she is ruling, and we know that after her death, Charles Diana's husband Charles, Prince Charles will be the king, and after that William will be the king, after that William's son will be the king. It goes on and on actually. And yes, so that is a monarchy. Now let's talk about the political condition in England during this period. I am going to 20th century, not discussing Victorian England, going to 20th century. Let's talk about the political and political ideology here. Now here Poplowski mentioned that the growth in relative prosperity of these groups further fueled the development of a mass consumer society which as in the Victorian period included the consumption not only for goods and services but also of literature, arts, entertainment, etc. See, I told you the rich people in the Victorian England, they were always after buying more and more things to furnish their homes, to give comfort, to get more comfortable life. If you have a look at Victorian England houses, you have a documentary or some kind of I think it is a documentary in YouTube. You will get to see the old Victorian houses and how they lived. In fact, there are many TV shows in Netflix which show you the Victorian England, the luxury in which they lived. So the houses, the English houses, they were big mansions, and you will have on the top stories you have the master and his wife sleeping, then his children sleeping, many bedrooms, guest rooms. Then towards the ground floor you have parlors, you have hallways, you have dinner halls, you have grand openings in the beginning, the portico, and you have towards the ground level you have servants quarters, kitchen. And see, a typical English house, especially during the Victorian era, from the top to the bottom, the comfort and the luxury also goes, you know, it decreases gradually as it goes down. So top stories, very luxurious, very high and fine, glittery gold everywhere. You have cushions, silk, the muslin curtains and everything. And ground, as you go deeper, the stories get very dark and very moist and not very clean. And there were actually serious health issues also. Victorian kitchens had this fungi problem. Many servants actually died due to several infections, unhealthy situations in the kitchen. There will be a big laundry area in the Victorian house. Because the laundry was supposed to be a very Herculean task, because all these bed linens, curtains and the chair cushion and everything, all the covers, they have to be washed, right? So people will be there specially assigned to do laundry, and laundry is a huge business. One day was dedicated to do laundry. And for washing the clothes you are supposed to use the spring water, the tap water and the spring water. Spring water, if you use it, only then the clothes will be according to them very clean. So collecting the spring water was another big task. Again, for cooking also you have so many people, you have a major cook, you have assistants, you have servants for that, you have somebody to mop and clean every time. And getting hired into a big household itself was a career ambition for many working class people. So if you watch some Netflix shows on this, you'll get a better idea, but I suggest you stick on with the syllabus. Don't get too comfortable in Netflix shows, because they are addictive, I tell you. Again, so yes, the consumerism was at its highest in the Victorian era, because people wanted more comfort, they wanted art, they bought paintings, they bought works of art, and they were really getting comfortable. And not only art, they demanded tobacco, demanded reading materials, books, newspapers, magazine things. So good business was there for the merchants, at least in the Victorian England, and this continued in 20th century as well. So there were many isms also, see, post-impressionism, imagism, expressionism, futurism, vorticism, cubism, dadaism, surrealism. These are really funny isms. When I teach you all these, I'll show you examples, then you will understand, okay, some weird ways to represent represent through art, that was In a nutshell, that was what these people did. So that is the political ideology here going on. And then whatever happened in the politics, in the British politics at that time, there was this Irish home rule problem going on. Ireland was trying to break free from the rule of England at that time, and it caused a lot of problems as well. In 1916 there was a revolution, Irish revolution, and many people, leaders were executed. And you have W.B. Yeats' 1916 Easter 1916 poem is also there. I'm sorry, I'm not getting that, it was in my screen actually. Anyway, I suggest you read the poem. So the poem is all about this revolution, and this is the context of the poem, Easter 1960. So just a moment. Right. Then what happened? You have female suffrage, then economic performance is relative to international competition. The image of Britain in front of the world, it was very important. So that was also something that the government was obsessed with showing. Unemployment issue was there, the impact of trade unionism, and also the distribution of wealth and income, education. So these were the major political concerns at that time. Now let's talk about the economy. Economically, whatever happened. You see that British economy continued the Victorian trend of growth in productivity and prosperity right up to the outbreak of the Second World War. So up until Second World War, things were really fine. People had money in Britain. That is what you should understand. Don't go into the tiny little bit of details, because that is for your post-graduation days. Here you are supposed to know that they had money, they lived comfortably until the Second World War. We'll come to that. Now, what other things that you should know is that there was an increased demand for electricity and electrical equipments, home appliances. People started buying. I told you that they wanted luxury and comfort. So they bought things that were to be run with the electricity. You know that Edison, he invented the bulb in 1970s, 80s or sometime. And electrical appliances at that time, they were not very popular, but towards the 20th century people started buying more and more appliances. So that is something you should know about this era. Now, a word about Irish home rule. The Irish writers, Irish theatre, these two are important. Irish theatre you can see in American theatre also, you can see about Irish theatre. The famous plays, you are supposed to know all about them. And you have Irish poets also. And yes, here a terrible beauty is born is a popular line from Easter 1916. I suggest you go to Google, read that poem and get an analysis of the poem just for your sake of understanding of the paper, just for the sake of understanding this paper, and that's enough. Now let's talk about First World War.